before we get out.
That's what he said. Yeah.
All right, y'all ready?
We're waiting on you.
I'd like to call the Town of Pierson regular council meeting to order tonight on December the 16th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Yvonne, would you do a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mayor Gray Leonard,
Here.
Vice Mayor Robert Greenland,
Here.
Councilman Jimmy Anderson,
Here.
Councilwoman Lenny Richardson,
Here.
Councilwoman Brandy Peterson,
Here.
Town Planner Mark Ratt,
Here.
Town Attorney Scott Simpson,
Here.
Deputy Clerk Brian Smith,
Here.
and the Volusia County Sheriff is present.
Thank you very much. Lenny, would you lead us in the invocation, please?
Gladly.
Thank you.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, we come to you tonight with great thanks for another beautiful day you have bestowed upon our precious community. Dear Lord, I ask that you forever bless our citizens and all that may pass through. Dear Lord, I ask that you especially bless everyone involved with the inner workings of our great town. Dear Lord, as we embark on the most holy day of the year, I ask that you fill our hearts with the true meaning of this holiday. For it was through your birth and then through your death that you gave the greatest gift to mankind, the promise of eternal peace and salvation. I ask that you inspire us to do the same here on earth, to love our fellow man and to sacrifice for them. Dear Lord, I ask you in your great name and thank you for the wonderful year that you have bestowed upon our town. I ask these things in your great name. Amen.
Amen. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, moving on to item number 4, it's approval of the minutes from our regular meeting on December the 2nd, 2025. Has everybody had an opportunity to look at those? Anybody have any additions or deletions or any changes? No, being none, ask for a motion.
Move to approve the regular meeting minutes from December 2nd, 2025.
Motion on the floor by Councilwoman Lenny Richardson to approve the regular meeting minutes from December 2nd, 2025. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is seconded by Councilwoman Brandy Pierson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
So carried. Moving on to our new business, item number 5A, Community Traffic Safety Team updates. And I'm going to call on Lester Pulley, please.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening, Lester.
All right, this is the County Traffic Safety Team highlights from December 4th. They sent me a bunch of attachments that I emailed over. Did y'all get those?
They're in the packets.
They're in the packets? Oh, okay. And it looks like traffic statistics for the year for the county. Y'all can peruse those at your pleasure. As usual, there's a lot of talk about the school zones. Speeding is getting worse. They've had some close calls. They're asking for more crossing guards. Luckily, I don't think we have that problem here. I think we do have some speeding, but we don't have any crossing guards. I don't know that we're ever going to get any or if we even need them. Sunrail's doing well. They're adding trains. Stephen Harris has taken applications from governments until February 14th for projects. And I asked him if this was something that Pierson would be interested in, and he said yes. And I can look into it, or one of y'all can look into it.
Yeah.
What type of project?
That's the TPO.
I don't know. You know what it
TPO
is?
Call for projects, yeah.
Okay.
You have to put up 10%, so,
Okay.
yeah.
He said it was www.bfppo.org. They're having a drive sober push for the holidays. We are not having a meeting next month. That's going to fall on the 1st, so we're not having a meeting next month. The next meeting's going to be in February.
Okay.
Lake Helen on Osteen Road has put up school zone cameras, and they are working, and they work even when the school is not in session. So even if the lights aren't flashing, the cameras are still working. So you could get a ticket going through there in the middle of the night.
Well, that doesn't sound too good. I mean, if the school zone's not active,
Yeah, the cameras still are. They're 24/7.
so is there a school zone there 24/7?
Well,
If the
yeah.
school's not taking in and letting out?
No, they're still working, even when the school's not taking in and letting out, even when
Maybe
the
it's
kids
just
are on
an
holiday.
extra precaution
That
that
just
they
sounds
have
like a way to
if
get
you
money.
need it.
They're working all the time. And that's all I got.
All right. Thank you very much,
Yep,
Les.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Moving on to item 5B, office space proposal is Jose Trajada. Is that correct? Is he here?
I don't see him here, no.
Trajada?
Tahada.
Tahada. Is Mr. Tahada present?
No, I don't think he's present. He came up here last week and met with me and wanted to know what the smallest room we had available was. You can see, he kind of described his background and his business. At one point, he worked for the Florida Health Source Clinic, and he's also worked for Advent Health in the past. So he has been working from home for, I think he said 5 or 10 years, and then that job ended, so now he's kind of looking to go out full-time on his own. So he's formed a company, and one of the things that he does is he tries to help people navigate the healthcare system. So there's a lot of one-on-one appointments. I think he doesn't necessarily want to do those in his home. So he was looking for a space. We discussed here in this building there's the records room, and then there's 3 other rooms, and I showed him those, and he said one of those would be fine, although it may be a little bit bigger than what he was looking for. He said he would paint it, he would take care of the flooring, so the only real concern is that his proposed amount is a little bit low. Part of that reason is because he said for the first year, it's probably going to be coming out of his own pocket while he tries to get established. So I told him I would bring it to you. We'd have to put stipulations in about, if he's going to paint it and do flooring, we probably want to have a say in how and what that was, I think the only thing that room out there would need is a mini split. So you're talking $6,000, and his proposal is only $3,000 a year. But maybe at the end of a year, if it didn't work out, you've paid for half a mini split and you've got your room painted and floored. If they're just sitting there, we're currently paying the power bill on it anyway. So I really don't know. It's up to you guys, but I told him I would bring it, and then obviously if you have any questions, I told him I would follow up if he couldn't make it tonight.
Is the AC currently working in those rooms?
That room is the one where there's a door between 2 rooms, and the ceiling tiles had fallen, and there was water all over the floor, so we think it was leaking. I don't know if there's an air handler maybe that's clogged. maybe it is working, but we just shut everything off.
Yeah, because they have the air handler and drain pans in the ceiling, right?
Right. But, our thought was going forward, try to abandon as many of those ceiling things as we could, and that would alleviate some of those problems that we're having. But the AC may very well work out there. I don't remember if Heritage looked at that one or not. It's the one 2 doors down from the records room.
It's the Christmas room.
It's the Christmas room. And I know that we addressed, we obviously put a new AC in the records room because we didn't want all that stuff to mildew and whatever. But I don't think we evaluated the rest of the building. But Robbie did tell me when he came that most of those ACs were the same age, so they will probably start.
They're probably all 30.
They'll probably start
years
right
old.
But, we did the roof on that building, so it's structurally it's good. That room is one room that doesn't have a bathroom, so, you'd probably obviously want to get more money if it had an ensuite bathroom and all that stuff. But as it stands, it's just a It's just 4 walls. So, but I told him, if the council did decide to move forward, as inexpensive as that rent would be, we would have to do it for a year and then reevaluate it.
Reevaluate it after.
And see, maybe after a year, he'd decide it's not worth it and he doesn't want to do that, but, he's one of a few people that were just looking for office space because they wanted something local, but they didn't necessarily want to do it out of their house, which I kind of understand. So,
We have talked about in the office before having like a conference room area that we could rent out or something. I mean, does he have enough appointments that
it's a thought. It's a
he could
thought that
do
he could
that
maybe,
direction where we could not?
just when he has appointments, he could maybe book it or whatever.
Yeah.
But then,
I mean, still, again, we still have to finish repairing
We'd
the
have to
room
do
to get it
something, yeah.
ready to rent out, which would be our expense if he's willing to do this.
and we could always do that in one of these rooms if the council wanted to do that, to take one of those rooms that doesn't have a bathroom and stuff in it and just paint it and floor it and renovate it as temporary conference space or office space where you could rent it per day or per week or.
Well, we've only had a few people that's came and ask about renting them. They can't afford the rent that we have.
Right.
Even with the tutor and like Beth and them wanted to do before, it would still be a place that you could rent to them as well on nights they needed it. You know what I mean? You wouldn't have.
And you might have someone that wants it short term. They may not want it for a year or 2 years, but they might want to do it for a month in the summer. Or,
Right.
So he's talking about 12 months.
We proposed 12 months just because that, probably is your standard minimum lease term for commercial. Usually it's 3 or 5 years, but he's not there. So,
What has to be done in that room? Painting and floor?
the flooring is
Paint,
nasty.
flooring,
needs to
and
be
we need to
cleaned,
put a mini
and
split.
it needs to be painted probably. You could get by with,
Chalkboards have to be taken off the walls. I mean, to make
unless they want to use them.
right. But I mean,
In some rooms, we just left them because we realized when we renovated Rev's room that they were liquid nailed to the wall and they were not easy to get off. And then the boys had to grind all the dried liquid nail off the cement block on the wall. So a lot of them we've just left up.
Yeah.
Well, I think,
those are falling apart.
I think,
The whole thing all the way around.
The one in
chalkboard.
there is.
Mhm.
And some of them may come off easier. All these buildings are different ages.
Oh, yeah.
So they might be attached differently than Rev's were.
I think if we're talking about leasing to this gentleman, that he would probably want the 12-month lease and not just to use it when he needed it, because I don't know what kind of records or whatever he may have in there doing what he's gonna be doing.
Well, and you don't know when he might need it. So in other words, if someone calls him at 4:00 and goes, "Can you meet me at 4:30 today?" and we're not there to give him a key and let him in, I think that's kind of why he was looking for an office space, because he did ask me, were there set hours or could he meet with people? And I said, as long as you're renting it, you get the key, and Rev comes and goes and the library comes and goes. It would be up to him, because he said a lot of people obviously would have to meet him after work in the afternoons.
But I do think, Randy, it would be a good idea to have one of those rooms
Oh,
refurbished
yeah.
that we could lease out for, people who want to have conferences or meetings or whatever. But
If you guys want to look it over and ask him some follow-up questions or counters offer, it's up to you guys, but I just told him I would let him know what, you thought.
Well, was he offering 50% of what the lease is
What do you mean?
for the other? You say he's offering
$3,000 a year.
$3,000?
Yeah, that's where.
It's $250 a month, which comes to $3,000 a year.
Right.
So that $3,000 for that 1 year would pay for half.
It'd pay for half of the mini split we gotta put in there, is what I'm saying. But also supposedly he'd
That's
be
where I
doing
was
the
going
carpet
with
and the
it.
paint.
Right, yeah.
And he's doing all the carpeting, painting, and everything.
Well, it says he will handle all cleaning, setup, and preparation required to make the room functional. That could be interpreted different ways by different people.
Well, that would have to be in his rental agreement with us, if we decided to rent it to him.
And that room needs to have one of the splits installed? Or
I can get Robbie to come look at it and see if the one that's out there is still working, but like I said, it had leaked in the ceiling and knocked down a bunch of tiles, so we just shut it off because we weren't using it.
Right.
Robbie did have to replace one 2 doors down, and he told me when he came, all the AC units on that building are the same, so they're all old. It's gonna be hard to get parts on them. So his suggestion was, as you move through, just replace them with mini splits and be done with it.
Right.
You know, abandon all the stuff in the ceiling, and then you don't have to worry about it. So my thought, and like we've talked about before, as people rent them, just put a mini split in them and be done with it, you know.
What's them main splits cost?
Well, when we did the last one a year ago, it was $6,000, but whether or not that's changed, I don't know. It's a couple grand cheaper than a traditional AC.
It's a good bit cheaper than like a central unit.
A central unit's between 8 and 10 grand, depending on the size of the unit that you're getting.
And those, they can do the temperature in that room where other ones can't. Don't you have to have the same temperature?
Yeah, some of the ones over there share an AC unit, so like 2 rooms share one thermostat. So I don't, but this building back here, they all have their own, so. And Rev, we did talk to Rev, because you know, they put a mini split there because their AC went out. So we put a mini split in there earlier this year. And that's a 3,000 square foot building, and they said it keeps their building cool all the time. So shouldn't be a problem handling these rooms, they're much smaller.
I think the mini split's working out well with the record room that. So.
No, we didn't, we put a traditional one.
That's correct, we did, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Because they had to
My bad.
they had to redo all the duct and everything. But I think it would, you know, we weren't sure how the mini splits would work, but Rev claims theirs is okay, so.
Well, Rev's a lot bigger room than these are.
Right.
There's a lot of people going to those mini splits.
Mhm.
And I've heard a lot of good things about them. You know, I think our goal is to get those rooms rented out. You know, even, it's gonna cost us $3,000 the first year.
That's what I was gonna say. At most, it's a year, so if it doesn't work out,
Right.
it doesn't work out.
Exactly,
But at least someone will be in it.
exactly. That's the way I feel.
I think that we ought to.
My only condition would be just to approve the work that's not being done.
Right.
That's,
Yeah. I mean, I agree with Councilwoman Richardson that when he talks about handling cleanup and setup and preparation required to make the room functional, I mean, we need to be specific that he needs to take
Right.
care of the flooring and repainting of the room and that kind of stuff. But every time we rent one of those buildings, we got to replace the AC. It's happened to us. Well, it happened in the records room and then it happened in Rev, so I think the thing to do is to go ahead and get it done and put the mini split in
I think so.
it before we rent that one out.
Well, from a budgeting standpoint, I just said, we're not gonna put any money into a room unless we know it's been rented by somebody. I mean, there's
Exactly.
No sense in going and redoing a bunch of stuff if it's just gonna sit there.
Right.
But
But,
once we get
but as
ready,
people are interested,
once we get ready to do it, you know, once he signs that lease, we need to make it ready for him.
so do we want
Is he,
to,
tax exempt?
is he tax exempt?
Yeah.
That I don't know, I'd have to ask him.
Because we rent it, it's gonna, it may not be very much, but it's gonna convert that property
taxes,
taxable.
Yeah.
And it'll probably, they based that decision on January 1st.
Right.
So he probably wouldn't be in there January 1st. So for this upcoming year, it won't be taxable, but if he stays there a full 12 months and he goes through January 1st, then it'll be taxable after that for that year. And he may not be here as a tenant, so we gotta think about that. And then, you know, we need to confirm with our liability insurance that somebody walking into our facility, going into his place, if they trip, fall, or whatever, will be covered if we're renting it out, space out. Or we're gonna need to require him to provide
We'll have to require him to provide it.
some type of liability
Yeah,
insurance.
that's what we did for Rev.
That's gonna have to be done on whoever.
But he'll have to have that regardless of where
Yeah.
he goes. Right. You know, got a business. So. And we've got them, the property appraiser came out here after we surveyed it, and they have square footages now of all the buildings, so she told us that she could easily come out here and calculate what the taxes would be on them.
Yeah,
So
I'm sure
we can
they
always
could.
just reach out to them and
I ain't gonna miss
verify that before. But I mean, we would need to sit down with him and ask, like you said, specifically, how are you planning to clean this? Are you replacing the floor? Are you cleaning the floor? Some of the rooms we just had them deep clean the floor and they looked okay. It's a mix of that linoleum tile and that indoor-outdoor carpet. So in some of the rooms, they just stripped and finished the linoleum and then cleaned the carpet. And other than that, I think it's really just painting.
I'm going to ask the council to, for the recommendations, and then we can go ahead and make a decision.
I make a motion that we do what we need to do to allow this gentleman to rent the room after he meets with staff first and.
We have
Right, we have to
get the agreement.
get the agreement.
Drawn up.
You want the agreement back here for approval, or just based on the terms of?
I think we need to have it back here for approval. That's just my opinion. I don't know how y'all feel about it, but
Yes.
I mean, I'll go with how the council feels. I mean, it's the council decision.
No, we need to approve it.
Yeah.
Okay,
We'll
yeah.
have a conversation with them and then we'll draft something and then we'll see if you guys approve.
Make sure he understands the insurance aspect of this.
Yeah.
There's a motion on the floor regarding leasing out that building to this gentleman, as we talked about. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. So carried. Thank you. Item number 5C is our next item on the agenda. It's resolution 2025-21. And I want to turn this over to our attorney, Scott Simpson.
First, I'll go ahead and read the title. Resolution number 2025-21 by title only for first and only reading. The resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Pierson, Florida, a municipal corporation making a finding pursuant to section 196.197830 or O, Florida statutes, based upon the most recently issued Schimberg Center for Housing Studies annual report, electing to not exempt certain properties from ad valorem taxation under the Live Local Act, subject to that finding, depending on the most recent Schimberg Center Housing Studies annual report, providing for the preservation of existing exemptions and expiration, providing for severability, and providing for conflicting resolutions, and providing an effective date. We discussed this last meeting. This is part of the Live Local Act. Each year, local governments have the option, if they're eligible, they can not allow the property tax exemption for certain affordable housing projects. And the criteria is based on the Schimberg study, that as long as you have more affordable housing than you have families in your area that need affordable housing, you don't need more housing, so you don't need to incentivize it with the tax exemption. If the study shows that you got more families looking for affordable housing than exists, then you can't take that exemption away, because you need to incentivize it. Last year was the first year it was done, and the Schimberg report comes out late, and it hasn't come out yet for this year, but we have last year's report for this year. So this resolution, there's actually two resolutions you'll see in your agenda. One was if we had the Schimberg report for 2025, and it showed that we had excess housing over families in need, but we don't have that. What we have, the law says we base it on the most recently adopted Schimberg report. And so that one is based on 2024. And so we're basing our finding on last year's report, 2024, with the caveat that if the Schimberg report's going to come out sometime between now and the end of the year, we have to have our election to the property appraiser by January 1st. This resolution takes effect January 1st. And if the Schimberg report comes out, if it shows the same as last year's report, that there is excess housing, then that's further, as a state, is further support for the decision made. However, if the report comes out and shows that there is not excess housing, then we are not allowed to exempt for the upcoming year, and this resolution becomes a nullity. But the report has to come out before this resolution becomes effective, which is January 1st. for that to trigger. You don't have to take any additional action. We don't have to come back. The only other option we could do is, if y'all want to consider it, was wait to call a special meeting till when that report came out. You know, and if the report came out and said, yes, you do have excess housing, then we would have had to adopt the resolution incorporating the 2025 report. This is written so we don't have to do that. We're adopting it, and if everything stays the same, the resolution stays in effect. If the report comes back something differently, this resolution becomes a nullity, it's no effect. We'll have to reconsider this again in December of next year. It's an annual thing you have to do every year.
So the 2025-21 resolution that we're talking about adopting is the one that has the 2024.
That's the most recent.
That's the one we're going to adopt, correct?
Well, we are adopting that because that is the most recent.
That's the most recent.
If the report comes out, and I'm sure it will, between now and the December 30th or December 31st, then we're going to incorporate that report.
Incorporate it into this?
Yep.
Okay.
Scott, let me ask you, when you say, more housing than need, is it based specifically on Pierson? Are we going by the countywide number?
It's countywide.
It's countywide.
Yeah. And there were some discrepancies last year, weren't there? They hadn't changed the report because it included some of Flagler County, and it caused us to the initial draft of the report showed that we didn't have excess housing because we included some of Flagler County. And they came back and redrew the lines or something like that.
That is correct.
Yeah, something like that. So. It's not Pierson specific, it's county.
I was gonna say, yeah, because Pierson alone, we don't have any available housing.
Yeah, we'd be in trouble.
It's a bigger area. And you don't have to adopt this. It's just we talked about it and y'all wanted to consider it, so it's up for your consideration. You didn't adopt it last year, from my understanding.
But what are the ramifications if we don't adopt it?
If you don't adopt it, and if you get a low-income housing project that qualifies for the tax exemption, they will get the tax exemption if they get their certificate of occupancy during the 2026 year.
They'll get it for 1 year.
Well, they'll continue to get it thereafter.
Okay.
Because that's why you see it says in there, preservation of existing exemptions.
Okay, I got you.
So that will be an existing exemption. Like if an exemption happened last year or this year, 2025,
That would happen next year.
this resolution wouldn't affect it. It would continue on. But this resolution will only affect projects that get, I believe it's a certificate of occupancy during the 2026 year. And in all likelihood, we would probably know that because the project would be under construction now. But there are in Holly Hill, we have people who are seeking to convert to this affordable housing, an existing structure. So that's why Holly Hill did it last year.
So we did not pass this last year?
Not to my knowledge.
And the ramifications if we don't pass it now will be, if any affordable housing is built in 2026.
Built or qualified.
I mean, there's not a lot of pressure in Pierson, in terms of private developers who want to create affordable housing projects here in Pierson. But, if there were, they could also be, not only would they bring affordable housing projects, they'd also try to not be on your tax roll. So this is just sort of a preemptive, house cleaning thing to eliminate that possibility. But you're not under a lot of pressure. Some of the big cities in Florida have a lot of this going on, and obviously they're upset that they're also then on not on the tax roll. But there are people are starting to look at places in Volusia County.
So what this would actually do is to make sure that if we pass this and someone did build 10 or 20 units, they would be on the tax roll.
Correct.
They would be.
And they would be on the tax.
They would be on the tax.
They would
If
be,
don't
and if we
adopt-
don't adopt this, they would automatically be exempt from being on the tax roll.
I don't know if I'd use the word automatic.
Yeah, they have to
I mean,
apply
they can
for
apply for
it.
it.
They have to
Right.
apply for it, but they would get it.
They would get it, and they wouldn't be paying property taxes.
So you
Now,
would
there may
have,
not be a big chance that that's gonna occur, but what it does is, because it's not just new construction, I do believe existing buildings can convert. And what it does is just say, hey, we want to preserve our tax base. We don't want someone coming in and taking a, a 4-unit apartment complex and convert it to tax base.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they don't pay property taxes.
yeah, I think,
We don't want that to happen.
So
we
if,
don't want
if
that to happen.
hypothetically or theoretically, if there was a duplex in town that someone's interested in buying, and then they did, and they said, now I want this to be affordable housing, they could
Correct.
potentially, because we have a situation, we've had
There
several
are
people
some
talk to us about
properties-
it.
that could mean that it could come off the tax roll.
Yeah.
That come to the top of my
Uh-huh.
little pea brain.
Yep.
that
I
this
know
could
where
be-
you're talking
Yeah.
about.
There's several.
I painted them.
Right, so you understand, it's not just somebody buying a duplex, they'd have to rent it to somebody who has like a qualifying income. So if they were to do that,
Probably do.
yes, in theory, they could take it off the tax roll. But, if they just, if they market rent it, no, if it's a market rate, but if they were to specifically restrict it to people who were low or moderate incomes, which is possible. Right? They could take it off the tax roll. There's just, at this point, there's not a lot of multifamily in Pierson, but there's a few, duplexes particularly.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion.
Okay, if we pass this, they are eligible to not be taxed, correct?
If they
So-
pass it,
If we
they
pass,
don't get the tax exemption.
Exactly.
if we
don't
pass
have-
it,
If we pass
If
it.
we pass it, they're taxed.
they don't get taxed.
If we pass it, they get taxed.
There's absolutely no reason not to pass
And
it.
if we don't pass it, they could probably, and most likely,
Right.
could be tax
Yeah.
exempt.
Yeah, correct.
Mark says, there is no downside to passing it,
Yeah.
unless you want to encourage tax exempt affordable housing in
No,
Houston.
I don't want to do that.
So
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve resolution number 2025-21.
There's a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Lenny Richardson to approve resolution number 2025-21. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Jimmy Anderson. Yvonne, would you do a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. Councilwoman Brandy Peterson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lenny Richardson,
Yes.
Councilmember Jimmy Anderson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robert Greenland,
Yes.
Mayor Gray Leonard.
Yes.
we just need to get that to the property appraiser by January 1st. So.
Okay.
And what I would do is if the Schemberg report comes out and it happens to flip and say we can't adopt this, I would send a letter to the property appraiser just letting them know that that resolution is now a nullity. But hopefully that will come out of the Schemberg report.
Okay, moving on to item number 5D, I'd like to turn this over to Councilmember Lenny R. Richardson. It's RVs on residential property.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I was recently approached by a citizen that has the same concerns a lot of other citizens are expressing. That being RVs parked in people's yards with people living in them. The person that approached me last week said on Echo Street, there are approximately 5 to 6 RVs in residential properties. We're gonna have to do something here.
I'm in agreement with that.
So are we talking about people living in an RV that has a house constructed on the property?
Yes.
And also people living on an RV on vacant land?
No.
Most of these are
no.
happening on.
This is all
where there's residential housing there.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I hate to do it, but I know we worked on this on planning and zoning and couldn't get anywhere with it. Should it go back to planning and zoning, Scott, or can we?
I mean, any ordinance that will come out, this would be a land development regulation, it has to come from a recommendation to the planning board. You know, I'll defer to Mark on how he wants it. If he wants them to come up with a recommendation in terms of what the regulation would be, or does Mark want to have staff work on it with him, and then submit a staff's recommendation to the planning board, then to come here, I'll defer to Mark on that.
Okay.
How would you rather handle that, Mark?
Yeah, we'll come up with a recommendation, and we'll probably dust off what we did a few years. Some of you may recall, what we'd come up with was that you could get a permit for you got a relative who's coming to visit you for the Christmas holiday. They could get a permit for a couple of weeks and maybe 3 times a year or something like that.
Like a short term.
Right, and that was it. That's that's how somebody could keep an RV on an occupied
So
piece of
we're not
property.
regulating the parking of RVs on residential property, it's actually the using of RVs.
It was residing in them, right? Somebody could somebody owns an RV, they can store it on their property, they could hook it up to keep their battery charged. The issue was just
People living in it.
people living in it.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is kind of twofold. Satellite Beach just had an issue where, with a code, I don't know that you would call it a code violation, but they had, those projection lights on a house. And, some of the citizens were up in arms about it, said it was a nuisance, and so they accepted an anonymous complaint regarding this issue. Is that not illegal? Don't you?
For code enforcement purposes, it is, yes. You can't, the law was changed a few years back that you can't base code enforcement exclusively on an anonymous complaint. Now, you could base new regulations on an anonymous complaint, but that's not code enforcement. Code enforcement is actually going through the citation process.
But to actually take the complaint?
Well, you can't take an anonymous complaint and initiate code enforcement proceedings based on anonymous.
Right, so if there was an existing regulation that they were violating, you can't take an anonymous complaint. But if you have an anonymous complaint and you're say, well, I understand your complaint, we should change the law, you can do that.
Yeah, that's totally different.
You can take a complaint in order to enact a change in the rules, regulations, or the law, but you can't take an anonymous complaint if it's in violation of an existing law.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I have nothing further. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
Okay, moving on to, item 5E, I'm again gonna turn this over to Councilwoman Lenny Richardson. It's purchasing ordinance for council expenditures.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, at this juncture, we do not have a purchasing ordinance for expenditures for council members. I know historically, I've always been told that the council can spend up to $500 on an issue, on whatever, a necessity. But there's nothing, Ryan, look, there's nothing in writing. There's nothing concrete about that. And I'd like to see that be a little more shored up. How would we do that?
You could adopt I would suggest adopting an ordinance. Yeah,
Okay.
and I would expand that a little bit to say, you ought to have a purchasing ordinance that controls not just, how much y'all can spend, but how does the city go about spending its money? Your budget process sets aside money, and all the cities that I represent have purchasing ordinances that say, okay, up to $1,000, you can get a verbal quote. Up to $2,000, we need a written quote. 2,000 to 5,000, we need 3 written quotes, and over 5,000, we gotta go out for bids. But it can be any number you wanna set, up to, I mean, the state law kicks in, I think it's a $200,000 or $300,000 construction project requires bids. So, but I would suggest, when you talk about purchasing ordinance, I was thinking what you were suggesting was for the entire, what you've talked about would be incorporated within that, but it would be a good idea for the city to have an ordinance that says when we have to do work. For instance, you just talked about AC, and you said, I'm gonna call so-and-so. Well, we may say, look, you gotta get 3 quotes for that. And then, and it really serves 2 purposes. One, you wanna make sure you're getting the best product and service for the money. And 2, it also, you wanna avoid any appearance of favoritism or impropriety or anything like that. Even if you're not doing that, it's just the perception. To say, look, if it's over a certain dollar amount, we gotta get 3 quotes. Now, does it mean you'll automatically have to go with a low bid? No. But you can say, look, I've heard bad things about this person, or this person hasn't been in business very long. We know we've done work with this other person, so it's worth the extra couple $100 to go with the person we have a track record with. But at least you have a documented process of how you're selecting who will be the vendors in the city.
Scott, would like a preferred vendors list be incorporated into that too, if we wanted to have something like that?
I have never seen that.
No.
And because the question would be how you get on it. Do you go out for bids to get on a preferred vendors list? That would be the first question. And how you get off of it. If we have a problem with you, we're going to take you off of it. Then do you get appeal rights? I mean, there's a lot of things in my mind.
For services, cities and counties do have rotating contracts.
Right.
Like, you can have multiple people who do mowing for you, or multiple people who do towing for you.
Pretty common towing, yeah, that's a common.
And that's usually set out in, just how you establish those.
But you usually pick the towing companies, you get bids, and then you put them on a rotation list.
Well, it's like the library is going to take care of some of the outdoor flood lighting here on campus.
Is that the county library?
Yeah, and they told me that was fine, but I had to get the quote from one of their county-approved vendors, and it's essentially 3 vendors, so I had to get 3 quotes, but they get 3 quotes from the same 3 vendors all the time. So.
The county spends so much money, I could kind of see it with the county. I just don't know that y'all spend that much money that it would be your call. I don't really know how the county's vendor list is set up. I've expressed what my concerns would be about it. And how you get on it, how you get off of it, and stuff like that.
Okay.
But a little guidance, I think when I first started here, when we went through your different topics to talk about, that was one of the topics I talked about, is we probably ought to put together a purchasing ordinance. And I'm not, as I said, I'm not trying to change how you do it. However y'all want to do it is fine, but let's just create a written procedure in an ordinance that says this is how we do it, and we ought to make sure that we look at, hey, over a certain dollar amount, we're going to go out for bids, or we're going to get 3 written quotes. And if you can't get 3 written quotes, fine. You just tell the commission, I called, I can only get 1. Okay, you tried. But at least we have a process in place.
There are a lot of processes in town, especially like as it relates to like the water stuff, where it's like, well, we've always been told this is how it's done, and I've looked and I can't find it written.
Yeah.
So we're just going to have to start putting stuff in writing.
I mean, it's been like that since I've been on this council.
Yeah, I was kind of like, if you want to get a vehicle, one of our vehicles repaired. Actually, we've only got 2 shops in town that it could possibly be done at, and I think we've used both of those at different times because one of them did have a better price than the other. I mean, we are doing it, but we just need to have it documented or in writing.
I don't think we want to make it so complicated.
No, I don't either.
This is Pierson. This isn't Daytona Beach.
But I mean, Daytona, they got 25 different shops that you get something fixed in, and we don't.
All of our ordinances are online and they're keyword searchable now, so if Yvonne or I are to ever leave and you have some new staff that are going to be like, okay, well, what is our purchasing thing? They will be able to easily find that information, whereas maybe it's in paper records somewhere, but we
Haven't found them yet.
I've never seen it. Yeah, I
We
think,
can just work with staff, have staff.
And work on an ordinance and,
Yeah.
you know, I can quickly, I'm sure Ryan, or Ron can pull it up, go to Unicode and pull up purchasing ordinances from small cities.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
and use that as a
kind of
model to go
modified to fit our needs.
from. Yeah, they're all pretty similar. You know, the dollar amounts change, the bigger the city, the dollar amounts go higher, but the process is pretty much the same.
Okay.
Anything else on that?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay. Moving on to item number 5F, it's the modified office hours for holidays. I've talked to staff about this, and my recommendation on the modified hours would be that at 12 noon on New Year's Eve, we go ahead and close City Hall. And
Christmas Eve and New Year's.
Excuse me?
Both Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Same difference. Close it at 12 noon, and then it would be closed, obviously, on Christmas Day and the day after, and reopen the following Monday. So it basically would be closed for 4.5 days.
2.5 days.
Well, 2.5 working days.
Plus the weekend, yeah. Right, so that
Yeah.
for Christmas and New Year too?
Yeah.
So we'd be off the 1st and 2nd, and then reopen the 5th?
Because then New Year's Day on Thursday as well? Yeah.
Yes.
So there again, like New Year's Eve, we'd be done at noon, and then be closed New Year's Day and the day after, and then
New
Saturday
Year's
and Sunday.
Eve would be Wednesday, Thursday, right?
No, New Year's Eve is a Wednesday, yeah.
Wednesday.
Yeah. Mine's early.
So,
Yes, it'd be the same both weeks.
yeah, I mean, do y'all
New
feel
Year's
that?
Eve is Wednesday.
That's
Correct.
what I believe it
So
is.
we're closing at noon Wednesday
Yes,
and opening up Monday morning.
Yes.
correct,
Yeah.
And the same way, it'd be the
Same
exact
as
same thing as Christmas.
correct.
Does everybody, how do y'all feel that's okay?
That's fine.
I mean, okay, so that's what we'll do. I don't think we need to make a motion on that or anything. That's just, okay. Moving on to item number 6, other business, updates and reports from the mayor. The only thing that's concerning me, I've happened to get a few emails in the last few days about wastewater treatment, some stuff to do with our wastewater treatment. One of them brought an attention to me about a facility encroachment agreement with CSX, and the other one was a railroad protective liability insurance that's going to be required by CSX.
Yeah, I just sent
I think you just looked at that too, didn't you, Mark?
Yeah, today was the first day I saw it, so I forwarded it to Scott because I didn't know whether you had seen that yet. So, I mean, it's just so zooming out to the bigger picture, what's going on. So there's 2 components, right? There's the collection system and there's the plant system. Already at a prior meeting explained that while the state has tentatively approved the idea that the wastewater plant would move from the school board's property to the north side of the airport, they want an update to the feasibility plan and the fiscal plan for that. So that piece waits on that. Right? The other component is the collection system. So that's what this is associated with, right? So they have delivered to us the 100% design, meaning just have going, we've commented on it, sent those comments back. So they're completing their 100% design. So what we're required to do and what Mead and Hunt is required to do is to have 100% design and have permits in hand so that the project's biddable. That's what we're required to do under the revolving loan fund. So that's what this is pursuant to. So permits in hand. So to get the DOT permits, there are crossings over CSX railroad, right? And we talked about this briefly, that CSX has priority over the roads.
Correct.
Right, so you have to get their permission. If you want to run a wastewater line that crosses a railroad, you're going to have to sign an agreement with them, releasing them from any liability. You're going to repair anything that you damage, and,
That's basically what this encroachment agreement is about, correct?
Is this to run underground?
Yes.
Yes,
Are they charging?
yes, of course.
$26.50 for the permit.
Do they charge annually for the license?
I think I don't know if there's an annual charge in this particular case. I don't know. Like I said, I just got it today.
But I will say, for the insurance portion, I did reach out to our insurance agent at Brown & Brown, and she told me it's not covered under our existing policy. They will have to write a new policy for us for what CSX is requiring. So I
They're
don't know
requiring
how
one
much that will
policy for
cost.
$5 million in liability,
Right.
and then another one for $10 million.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. You have a question in the audience?
I think you sent the email to me when I was driving here, so I'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I'm like, Mark emailed me probably when you got it, so.
I know that they, in Holly Hill and South Daytona years ago, everybody has utility lines, electric lines, all run under the railroad, and they all have license agreements that go underneath there, and I guess it was nominal or not at all charged, and all of a sudden they went from $100 a year to $1,500 a year, and all of a sudden they started charging a bunch of money for each one of these things that went under. We had to go across them. You got to provide the service. They can pretty much charge whatever they want.
Yeah, and in most cases, the line's already there, so.
We already have water lines under.
But you probably already have an existing license agreement to put it there whenever you did, probably.
I'm pretty sure we did. I don't know, to be honest with you.
Well, we can look at it. Do you think
I asked questions about the timing of this, and, since we have that other piece, does this have to happen now? I didn't get any answers to that question, but obviously, we wanted to have you review it.
Okay. I don't know if it'd be worth looking at whether or not we have an existing legal right to have our pipe there, so that we don't need this license agreement. But I can tell you, working with CXS is not pleasant, is the best way I can say it. They're difficult to deal with. Holly Hill had when I first started working, they had actually just gone through a whole litigation against CXX to open a crossing. Open a new crossing. And CXX continue to say, well, if you're going to open one, you got to close one. We don't want any more crossings. They're crossing if you want to open one.
They're so fastidious about this language associated with crossing their railroad tracks. You would think they would maintain them.
But if you have a crossing, anytime they decide to do a repair to it or upgrade, you can pay for it.
They're almost like their own little country.
They are. They're their own little country.
No, they're God.
Yeah.
But even after we sued them, Holly Hill sued them. One, it was appealed with the 50CA. 50CA upheld the city of Holly Hill. CSX still ignored the court's orders. They were still saying, no, you got to close. We're like, the court said we don't have to. No, you have to. Okay.
Yeah,
That's all I had.
They are their own entity.
That's all I had. I just wanted to let everybody know that was happening. Updates and reports from council members. Vice Mayor, do you have anything?
I do finally have a quote from Billy Smith on the concrete sidewalk. I think there's 30-something feet, and however wide it is, but I think it's 4 feet. He gave me a quote of $2,500 to do that. I don't have it written down. If I need to, I can get a written quote, but and bring it back next meeting. But
He called me as well.
Did we get a estimate on that from Billy Rodriguez's?
He gave us the same one, $2,500.
Okay.
He said there's a few sections that are broke, and then a few that aren't, and then a few that are
Few
broke.
that
So
are, yeah, there's-
He recommended taking the whole thing, putting rebar. and
That's,
then-
that's what I explained to Billy.
Yeah.
There's like, I think there's 4 of them broke, in a line, and then there's 2 that's not broke, and then there's 2 more, or 1 more that is broke. Billy said you just might as well take all of them out, even these 2 that aren't broke,
And,
But anyway, that was, I couldn't remember what we paid for fixing these 2 places out here. Wasn't it $1,200 or $1,100?
It was 1,100.
So
It was
I thought that's
mainly-
what it was, so I didn't think 2,500 was too bad.
no, I think all in all, that's a good price, and that's the same price that, Mr. Rodriguez.
Yeah, they both gave us the
basically.
same price. This out here was so expensive because it was time, basically. It was they had to do a lot of work for 2 very little
Right.
sections. He said they really weren't making any money on that, so. But over there, he did say he thinks the reason that cracked is because there was no rebar in it. So he recommended that was part of the 2,500 was to put rebar in it.
And that's what, your guy you talked to is gonna do rebar as well.
I believe Billy told me he was gonna put rebar there, but I cannot attest to that. Let me double check.
Yeah, find out, because I know what,
And we'll decide at their next meeting.
what's it, Riley, is that?
Right.
Riley, I think that they were doing it out there, he told me that the quote he was gonna give was gonna include rebar.
I'll find out.
Okay.
I'll find out, then I'll have it, at our next meeting, we can decide then.
All right, sounds good. What else?
I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Councilmember Jimmy Anderson.
The only thing I've got is this sign that's out here. We need to do something about it. I don't know what we can do, because when you pull up there, looking south, you can't see real good. You got to pull on out pretty good to see going south.
I agree with you 100%. I thought about that too. He's referring to the sign there at, what is it, Pierson Beverages or
Pierson Discount.
Discount Beverage? Because when you pull up that, and I'm not saying he's not within DOT specs. He maybe is, maybe he's not. I don't know. But when you pull up there, you have a heck of a time seeing to the south. And I've encountered the same thing that Councilmember Anderson's talking about. You got to really, really be super extra careful there, because it's
I wondered, is that sign on the right of way instead of on private property?
Probably. We went through a whole thing when we were looking at maybe getting a monument sign out here, because DOT, you're not supposed to block, like where the white lines are painted. When you pull up to a stop sign, there's a white line there. So like on First Avenue, there should be white lines
There are.
that you have to stop behind. There should be nothing visibly blocking you beyond that white line. But there very clearly is, because I have to pull like way up, almost
Yeah.
into
You
17.
got to pull out into the road nearly.
Yeah, and my guess is they're that far up because the rest of his thing is paved, right? So he can't put them in pavement, so the only grass he could put them in was probably out by,
He can put a
The
smaller
road, which
sign.
Yeah.
He
Should
can
we,
move one part of that sign in, and that would block,
well, if he changed it,
take
if
away a lot
he
of that.
made the sign about 2 foot smaller, you could probably see, okay. Should we
When did that sign
contact
go
DOT
I
on
mean,
that?
well, here's the thing, it was doable when it was just like the wood sign, but now he's got like the big, like flag, like the banner sign waving, and he's got
I
like,
mean, he
he
get
keeps
any-
adding signs.
He didn't get any permission for that.
Right.
Okay.
Should we contact DOT regarding that?
I mean, yeah, you.
We could just ask him who to contact.
Does he have a DOT permit for that sign? Would he need one?
Yes, you would need one.
He would need one for like a monument sign, but this is just like a little wood, like
It's 4 by 8 at least.
something
Yeah.
he made though. I mean,
But I thought the town of Pierson put in and made all them put up those signs at one time. Did we not?
We got
Did we not
denied.
make everybody put up a sign out in front of their business at one time? The fruit stand and all them people?
I don't know about
I
that.
can't recall.
I don't recall that. I mean,
All I remember about the signage was the library, I believe, Ace Hardware. Sue, did you help? We were trying to orchestrate that up by the bank with
Right,
signage.
but they
pointing
denied
to
that
businesses,
sign
and DOT
because the
denied it.
DOT denied that,
Yes, so I'm sure they deny that thing.
I mean, yes, Lester.
Lester Pulley, 363 North Pine Street. I would fill out that form that goes to the county traffic safety team. That's run by FDOT. Put that on there, just fill that form out and send it to them.
Also, they've added all those flags.
They've all the flags and banners. It made it worse.
It made it worse.
Well, they definitely make it worse, but my main issue with pulling up that intersection is that big wooden sign,
Yeah.
because you absolutely cannot see. I mean,
That whole
till you're almost out in
intersection.
the road.
I don't like that concrete pole if you're turning north. It's,
Well, it's a lot better since the fence has been taken down.
yes,
Yeah.
that has helped
Yeah,
immensely.
There's a little
No
spot there you can see
You
traffic.
can kind of,
You
but
can't
that
see the
other
other
one, that's
way.
where that sign is, you absolutely can't see, you're almost nearly out in the road.
Right, and you're parked in a pedestrian crossing,
Exactly.
which is illegal, but what the hell are you gonna do? I mean,
There's nothing you can do. So, yeah. So we probably need to contact DOT on that, and like Les said, we can fill out that form.
And they will give you action. When I was with it in his position, if you fill that form out, they will act on it.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah, but I'll let it go for this week.
Okay. Councilwoman Lenny Richardson.
I have
Is that
one
your
thing,
Christmas
I
present?
know we have, discussed the last couple of years for certain, doing some, public works projects in the wintertime, when the mowing and so forth had, receded. So one of the things we had discussed was trying to locate some of the main shut-off valves for the water system. I mean, I know there's been chit chat about it would be nice to get a grant to update things like that, but that's not happening today. But a broken main line could occur at any moment. So I'd like to see Public Works try to identify and exercise some of those main valves.
Turn them on and off, exercising.
Correct.
Well, let me say something about that. These valves, the older they are, the more you work them, they start breaking. We done had 4 or 5 in the last few years that they've tried turning on. And once you turn them on,
If you haven't been exercising
you
them,
can't
you let them sit.
turn them back
He's right.
off. I mean, they're just that old. I mean, the system's been in a long time.
They need to know.
They
We
need to be worked. Those valves need to be worked every month.
Right, that is what should have been occurring over the years.
Right.
All these valves get exercised.
Exactly.
Now, Jimmy's right, if a valve, they need to go out and exercise them, but if it's seized up, they need to leave it alone.
Don't mess with it.
And the problem now is exactly what I think they're saying is, you start messing with them valves now,
You'll either turn them all the way off,
and won't be able
and
to
you
get
won't be
it
able to
on,
get them back on.
or vice versa.
Right.
Okay.
But I
That's the only,
yeah, I
only
mean,
thing about
I think you
working
should
with them.
go through them, identify every valve and figure out which ones you can operate and which ones you can't. Right, the ones you can't operate have to be targeted for replacement.
If they don't
They
operate
need to be
easily, you need
identified,
to
though.
leave it alone.
So what you're saying is good also, Lenny. They need to be identified. Find out,
Located and identified.
located and identified.
I talked to Chris a little bit about this today. He said he does have a list. I don't know if it's a complete list, but he said he has a list of all the valves. He did tell me that there were some that, they're nervous about trying to exercise because they don't think he's afraid if you turn them off, like Jimmy said, they wouldn't be able to get it back on. But, maybe on that list that he's got, they just need to prioritize them as this one doesn't work at all, this one works
It would
sometime.
be good to know.
Do you, Mark, do you know, wasn't Todd working on a diagram or something? to
Well,
that
I think he had asked.
He wanted to get with Jimmy because I told him Jimmy probably knew where a lot of this
Okay.
older stuff was, but Todd's been busy, I guess, because we haven't seen him, so. But I don't see why our guys can't facilitate that. I mean, I don't know that we need Todd to do that.
Yeah, we need to locate all of them and see which one it was.
Certainly would be cheaper if you guys were able to
Exactly.
do that yourself.
Exactly.
I have nothing else.
Nothing else?
Thank you.
All I have is thank you to everybody, and everything went fabulous Saturday night, and just thank you to everybody, and Merry Christmas.
That's one thing I did not mention that I wanted to, is how wonderful our Christmas celebration was on Saturday night. And Councilwoman Brandy Pierson did a lot of hard work, and everybody participated, but she really did a lot of leg work, a lot of hard work, and I want to commend her for that.
And our public works worked there.
And our public works guys, they did an outstanding job, and they
And
need
we
to
got
be
lots
commended
and
as well.
lots of stuff fixed up here that
Yep.
needed to be fixed.
Yeah.
All in the meanwhile of putting lights up.
And I think everybody that came had a good time. We had a tremendous turnout. I said 450 or 500 people, that's just a guess. And I know Kelly and Robin, they did the letters to Santa Claus, and their report was that they had 80 letters from different children, so that's a lot of kids. And
Yes, it is.
and all of the vendors that I talked to that were here said, they all said they did good. So that means that we had a heck of a turnout if they all did okay,
My mom actually texted me earlier. She has a client in DeLand. She said, I just wanted to let you know that one of my clients that comes into the beauty shop was a vendor at your Christmas event, and she said it was amazing. So even people in DeLand are.
So,
I have one more thing. Mr.
yes,
Mayor.
ma'am.
I want to thank Mark Corrett at Zev Cohen for your generosity for our Christmas dinner. Thank
Yeah,
you very
make sure
much.
that everybody knows that. We really appreciate it. And I think everybody had a good time at the dinner.
Yes.
I didn't want to let that go slip. Anybody on the council have anything else? Scott, any updates from you?
No, just Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody.
All right. Mark?
I'll be here this Thursday,
Okay.
the 18th, 9 o'clock to 11:30. I don't, at least a few days ago, one person was signed up. I don't. Okay.
I'll let you know.
So this will be the last time of the year where I'll be available. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Merry Christmas to all.
Do you guys have anything, Yvonne, Ryan?
All I'll mention is, and Scott and I have talked about this, we keep going on and on about the solid waste, putting out an RFP for the garbage. I actually reached out to the county because the county for the unincorporated areas contracts with FCC Environmental, so they're already in town picking up solid waste. They do Seville, Astor, all the unincorporated areas. I asked the contracts director at the county if piggybacking was possible on that contract. She told me the county has piggyback language baked into all their contracts. So from their perspective, they don't care, that's fine. You have to get with the hauler and ask them specifically if they will honor a piggyback agreement. So I reached out to her contact at FCC, and I got an email back yesterday that said yes, as long as we agreed to the county's terms and conditions in their contract, they would entertain doing a contract with us. So Scott and I will have to look over that contract because it's 120 pages long and see what the county's terms and conditions are. There may be stuff in there we can't meet. I don't know what the county's obligations are for their side of the contract, but it would be nice if we could do it that way because they're already here in town. They would just be picking up another 500 or 600 houses.
And they do a good job.
And they do a good job. Everyone I know that I've talked to likes them. You get a trash day, a bulk pickup day, yard debris day. I mean, and I think it's right now they're paying $24.75 a month. It comes out to like $290-something a year or $390-something a year on their property taxes, but it works out to $24.75 a month. So that would be nice because there's a lot of work that has to be done just to get it on the trim notice next year. That an RFP on top of that will be a lot. So hopefully we'll know more about that soon. But just so everyone knows, we are still working on the garbage thing because we still keep hearing complaints about it.
I'm sure there are a lot more obligations placed on the vendor in that 120 pages than on the county.
Well, I'm hoping so. I'm hoping that works in our favor, but we'll see.
That it?
That's it.
Is there anybody in the audience that has anything they'd like to bring up? Now's your chance. Last chance of the year. You guys have anything? SO? BCSO? No? All right. Glad to see you guys here. We appreciate your presence. All right. Being no further business, we're adjourned.
You too.
You too, Scott. Thank you for all your help.
Looks like it's gonna be a warm.
Yes.